Go live. That's one. Are you looking? Todd, Chef Todd Richards, of course, the great Chef Stephan. In parts unknown, beautiful keyboards around him. We're coming to you live on Heritage Radio Network for Roots, Art, and
Soul.
I mean, we are with the distinguished gentleman, Chef Stephan, today. We got his beard cut, looking great, still accepting applications. I thought we had a couple come through the line, looking for it, but to hook this man up. But here we are live on Tuesday, 5/20/2025, coming off of graduation weekends, Mother Day weekend, Cinco de Mayo, and of course, Memorial Day the following week. So friend, what's going on?
I'm happy to catch up with you, bro.
No, I know, right? Yes.
Today's an easy day.
Yes.
Today's an easy day. You and I are catching up. We're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about friendship. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about all kinds of things.
Right. Well, all kinds of things is really what we are as chefs because we do things. We affect many lives, whether it be our own lives on a daily basis and what we sacrifice for others, but also just in lives in general. Our number one job is to feed people.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I got to tell you, since I left the hospital 4 days ago,
right.
This is my first.
Right?
In 3 months.
Wow.
I look the last two shows. I look like a guy who was MIA in Afghanistan.
Well,
so,
hey, don't say that too loud because they might ship your ass off. It
looked like I was in a concentration camp But I feel better. I look
That's
better.
Good. Let's toast to that. Toast to that.
Absolutely, brother.
Looking good and feeling better.
But let's talk about fatherhood real quick, man.
Yeah.
You just had a graduation.
Unbelievable.
Your last son. Finally, high school graduated.
For those who don't know, let's
talk about that a little bit, man.
I mean, for those who don't know, so my youngest son, who is a remarkable young man. So his mom, God rest her soul, carried him as long as she could because she had lupus. And she had both types of lupus, both discoid and systemic lupus. And my oldest son, one of his great friend, Chef Lawrence Weeks, who we talk about a lot. That's why people want to know why Lawrence is a chef.
We got to link up with him too.
Yeah, right. So Lawrence and my son were friends, and Lawrence's dad was an OBGYN who actually delivered Tedrick. And when he walked into the hospital room because Felicia was having some pain in her legs, he started saying, babies around 25, 26 weeks have a better than average chance of surviving in modern technology, And we're sitting here looking at him like, why are you even asking us or telling us this shit, I'm looking at him like, okay, all right. He said, because we have to deliver the baby now. So Cedric was born at 27 weeks, 1 pound, 11 ounces. And if anybody doesn't understand what 1 pound is, I can 1 pound 11 ounces is. The best way to describe it is about the size of a half chicken. And from a chef standpoint, I think everybody can understand what a half chicken looks like.
A half chicken.
All right. So 17 years ago, this young man, my youngest son, was born at 27 weeks, 1 pound, 17 ounces. And as of this past Sunday, And the proudest of Papa's moment, and I'm proud of all my kids. I don't, you know, to say one is better than
Absolutely,
the other. They all
absolutely,
have different
absolutely.
skills and stuff like that. But but he graduated from high school, and I can tell anyone and everyone, how great life is when you look at a kid that actually beat all the odds, and he's a living testament that if you don't have belief in yourself and you're not surrounded by love and kindness, then there's no way in the world you can survive all of this. So his whole family on his mom's side, my family, we're all just happy to say that he graduated from high school.
Brother, let me say amen,
Right,
amen twice.
right,
Because you're talking about your last son being born 1 pound, the weight of a half chicken.
right.
Um, Unfortunately, my
Yeah.
first child, my daughter, was born prematured. My wife at the time had something called preeclampsia, and the doctor
Preeclampsia. Wow.
the
Yeah.
and the doctor who was following her did not catch it, and they had to deliver the baby. It was either her or the baby.
So I
And
believe that that's kind of the same factors we were facing as well with preeclampsia.
unfortunately, we were not able to save my daughter. She was born 6 months prematured. Survived about a couple of hours in an incubator. And the whole time I had her little hand in my hand, um, and asking God why. But you know what? A few years later, God gave me my son, and I can tell you, even though life has made it very difficult for me to be 100% in his life in terms of my presence, because we were living in two different countries, um, and I was not able to be at his high school graduation, but I was able to be at his military graduation.
Wow, unbelievable.
And I cannot tell you, when I took a picture with him in his Air Force uniform, how how immensely proud I was of him. He's a wonderful young man. He's about to be 21 years old. He announced me his wedding date, which happens to be the day of my birthday this year. So I will be heading to Tennessee, uh, even if I have to crawl.
I mean, so Stefan, I got a question that I want to ask you about that, and more so, um, as chefs, that in our kitchens we probably take on many kids, and I have to call
Oh
them kids because some of them come as kids,
oh yeah.
some of them act like kids, and
No
and
kidding. No
right,
kidding.
right,
We got grown folks acting like kids.
right. But as much time as you and I spend away from our families, you know, how did you kind of, navigate that mentally, being away from your family so much? And I just want to qualify this because most people don't know how much I travel. Well, they might do, how much I travel last year,
No,
180 days
you
on the
you
boat,
travel you
you know,
travel it intensively, my friend.
right. So how do you navigate that time away from your family, being in
Well,
kitchens on a daily
I, I, I'm
basis?
I'm going to tell you, one of the things that I have to be grateful for is the relationship I've been able to have with my son's mother. She's an amazing lady, who has made sure that he spent every summer with me. Even though I was in another country, I was living in Haiti. They were living in the U.S. at the time. Um, we've never been in the same country or the same state, um, for all of his life, basically. But his mother made sure that we spent as much time as possible. She even brought him to Haiti just to come spend time with me. And for that, I'm extremely grateful for of her.
You know, the thing is that when I look at the times in the kitchen, especially with my older kids, Junior and Trayon. And Trayon is not mine biologically, but I raised
He's
her,
yours. He's
from
yours.
infancy, and she is the oldest out of the bunch. The time in the kitchen, I mean, there's so much, putting things in compartments that we do maybe as men, but as chefs, we have to do it even more. We have to manage stations, you
We
know,
do.
you know.
We have to be. I don't even know if that's the right word, but we almost have to be ADD.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I don't know if it
um,
is the right word either, but we have to manage stations, and sometimes what I think where, I've gotten in trouble in with the kids is that the decompression time in between home and work,
in between home and work is very difficult.
you know,
It's very difficult. I can tell you that my late mother, who lived with me for a number of years, I can tell her that she got the bitter end of that conversation, because
yeah.
there are times when, after working 10, 12, 14 hours in a restaurant, and I would come home, and that's when, my mother needed my attention, and I couldn't give it to her. I didn't know, decompressing, to be able to say, hey, I still got to give my family some time. Um, Sometime became very, very hard.
I mean, what made it hard though, makes it hard though, Stefan, is that what our jobs are is not only mental, it's mental, physical,
It's very physical.
and spiritual though also. And I don't
Hmm.
think that people talk about the spiritual side of what we do when we take away from the earth. We pull things out of the ground. We unalive animals. You know, um,
It's funny that you say that, because when my father and my mother got divorced, my father left the house very early in my childhood, and I spent almost 15 years not talking to him. It took from age of 12 to age, um, almost 20 something, to finally have a conversation with him. He called me the day of my culinary graduation, um, and he said to me, "Do you need to understand that your job, the career that you have chosen, is extremely spiritual, because you have to be centered, you have to be calm, you have to be collected in order for you to transmit the right energy into the food that you're about to give to someone else."
I mean, but when you say censored, and so just today, I'm training. We're opening a new restaurant here in Philadelphia Airport, and we're talking about plating. And cooks, they just want to prove themselves, and they
Right.
on the side of me trying to
They
plate,
want to show up.
on
They
this
want to
side of
show
me
up.
trying to plate, and I have to make everyone stop. And I say, here, put your hand on your middle of your chest and send it to your navel. And if you don't have that plate lined up in that area, you cannot plate up anything. Like this is the center. This is how you have to approach it. This is how you have to be. But what we end up doing is that our profession instills in us that our sacrifice has meaning beyond maybe what it should be. That the glory and gratification is all temporary because we had to do it every day. Unlike
You have to,
music,
you have
where
to
you
do
can
it
do an
all over
album.
again.
Right. Music, you can create an album now, every 6 months, everything like that. Not say it's not work, everything like that.
No, it is.
Yeah, all right. And
But
painting,
the difference
paint.
between
Right.
us, the difference between us is you have to be almost. I don't like to use the word perfection, but when you're in a restaurant setting,
Right.
and when you're in a restaurant setting, you have to be able to deliver perfection every day. That same wonderful, and this is also true for people who are in the catering business.
Correct.
You know, I had a chef instructor who told me you're as good as your last meal. That means that you have to be good every time you cook. You have to deliver perfection or near perfection every time you cook.
Every plate
Every,
though.
every plate that comes out of that kitchen
Correct.
needs to be pristine. It's not just one plate. It's 100 plates. It's 125 plates. It's 150 plates that comes out of that kitchen on a nightly basis, night to night to night to night. And we don't even understand how draining that can be.
So I just want to go back to to where we're talking about family, and really, you and I talked about just having this as an organic, episode, and it's really shaping us to talking about, lives of being chefs, lives of being in kitchens, lives of being in restaurants. This is, Quarter After Hour here on Roots Art Soul Podcast, episode 30, man, season
33.
two, season two,
Season two.
2025, and just being great, on Heritage Radio Network. But what I believe that people or may not understand or grasp is that it's not only us that sacrifices to present people with just the basics: hot food, cold food, textures are right, food, served safe. You're not going to die, from eating this. But secondly,
Because you're
right,
taking, when you go to a restaurant, you're also taking a certain amount of, you have to have a certain amount of trust in the people that are back in that restaurant preparing your food.
right,
You also have it's trust. It's a connection of trust between the person who's going to eat it and the person who's preparing the food.
and we have the trust with the farmers, ranchers, fishers,
And it's
and things like
it
that.
goes and
Right,
it goes all down the line. It goes all down the line. But we're the finishers. You and I as chefs in the kitchen in the restaurant is our finishers,
right.
and the customer is the final product.
You know, it just gives credence though when we talk about family. You know that we make sacrifices for family. Our families make sacrifices for us.
For
Yeah.
us, for us. because
Us
they
being
because they
gone.
they have
Right.
because they have to accept it. They have to accept that we're not here.
Right. They have to accept the credence.
Uh,
You know.
we have very little day offs,
Right.
if any, sometimes.
Right.
And after a 12, 14-hour day of draining yourself in that kitchen, when you get home, you want to completely disconnect. And sometimes you're disconnecting with the family that you're supposed to, that's supposed to be your lifeline.
And so let's talk about the disconnect though, because I don't necessarily. I mean, we hear about it. We hear about it with law enforcement. We hear about it with military.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we hear about with doctors and everything, especially in that trauma program. Uh, Even teachers have to, I mean, teachers go out there and raise other people's kids and have to come home and take care of their own kids, and they have to have some type of disconnect too. So I want to make sure we give them, their credence,
Because if they don't,
right?
then they're going to take the frustration of the day
Hmm.
and transfer it to the ones that they're supposed to be the closest to.
So is our jobs as chefs, right, part of creating the disconnect? Though? Do we lower the temperature of the world? And
Well, I think we do. I think we do because I think one of the things that we do well in terms of that connection between the person who's going to eat your food and you preparing it. It actually creates this energy of disconnection to where the person is leaving all their trouble behind, all of the day's heaviness. They're coming to your restaurant to find something that's going to take them to somewhere else where they can actually leave the world behind.
but okay, so I agree with you. First of all, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, when I wrote Soul, the first book, I talk about family. I talk about my dad, my family, every birthday, holiday, all the stuff was at our house. I mean, and you heard the story, but for our listeners, I want to just briefly tell it. Everything was at our house. I mean, there's nothing. Dad, gets all the chickens, get all the ribs, get all that stuff. 2 days before we're marinating things like that. He wakes me up. And I'm proud. I'm proud. My dad taught me how to start a fire for barbecue. Like that was like the connection that we had just in barbecue and barbecue, not and understanding certain temperatures that it had to be you know hey, and we did chicken always last. And I can tell you that I did not know what jerk chicken was as a kid, but I look at my dad's in my memories the first time I had jerk chicken, and I look at how I looked my dad's chicken, and him being from that New Orleans area, his family from there. That's like I can just see that centrifuge, that
Absolutely.
circular motion of that. And how do we as chefs internalize a lot of these things, but our job is to take stress out of other people's lives.
Absolutely. It's absolutely true. We are taking stress out of other people's lives. When somebody comes to your restaurant or somebody sits at your table to have a meal, that meal is more enjoyable and has lasting memories when they leave everything behind. When they put everything in the back of their mind and all they're focusing on is that meal. You talk about soul and family. My fondest memories are family dinners. I remember every Sunday at my house in Haiti, growing up. My grandmother and the funny thing is, at any moment you would have a cousin pop up, or an uncle pop up, or a friend of the family pop up, and there was always enough food for everybody. It's that and again, I think we sometimes we misunderstand how much family is a center of who we are.
I mean, so we talked about but the kitchen family,
That
you
too,
know, you know,
because
and
they become family.
I mean and you know, there's been plenty of kitchens, and we're not saying anything, new here, where you have chefs, go off, you look at, people in lore, in our modern lore of, Ramsay, going after people, in pursuit of perfection, and wanting to make sure that we are serving things and at the highest regards and things like that. But there's a different perspective that I think that most people may not understand, is that the sacrifice is what he's fighting about. He's fighting about the sacrifice away from his family. He sacrifices about the, his heritage of cooking. He's talking about, what his future looks like for his family, why he's on the line 16 hours a day, why he's, sourcing the best ingredients, why he's doing all these things. He's doing this in the pursuit to make a better life for his family. And I think that, and not even going to think, I don't want to remove that from my vocabulary. He is purposely doing it for his family. And how do we ensure that in our community we instill that better into our chefs and everyone growing up? And we have a lot of heroes out there right now. We'll talk about that in the next 15 minutes. But the Mashamas, the Kwames, the Erics, the Stephans, the Todds. But but I want to connect that intensity to our families.
I think once when we have, I think when we put passion, love, intensity in everything that we do, you see the result. And unfortunately, sometimes that's pursuit of wanting to do it the best that you can. The ideal of doing that, the ideal of putting your best foot forward, the idea of giving the best that you have at 100% of everything you got to do something great is sometimes erased. And and I'm not going to say the younger generation, but it's not always present, especially in our community.
But who's erasing it? I mean, that's the question I keep baffling myself on that. Who's erasing it?
I think what happens is that sometimes the transmission of and I'm going to use the word knowledge because it's still knowledge that you're transmitting to somebody else. Um, there is sometimes a block between the two. So you're talking about this opening that you're doing, and you're trying to plate, um, and you're doing plating today, and these young kids, these young chefs are on the side trying to do their own thing. They're trying to show off, or they're trying to show that they have the talent to they want to showcase it right away. I think there is this, how do I say this? There is this new thing
Individ-
about
individuality.
yeah, there's this new thing about individual superstardom that has taken over, especially our industry, you and I industry.
But I understand it though, and understand it though because the access to cash, the access to places to cook, you know, is not there. So they have a different platform with social media, with all these things, in order to tell their stories. The problem is it's not consumable. No one can eat it, unless you're doing pop-ups and things like that, in the same regards. Pop-ups are great because you give the person who doesn't have the cash, who doesn't have those things, in order a platform to do it. But I don't think it's run its course in some ways. In other ways, you know, it's giving a whole different industry of food critics, who have the resources, the money to go and into these restaurants, buy food, and critique other people. However, I think there's some fallacy in that as well, because if you are that good in critiquing other people's foods, then what are you doing to create your own place to produce food?
Mm,
Where's your restaurant?
yeah.
Where's your brick and mortar?
A lot of time that's the question that's the question that needs to be asked.
Where's your brick and mortar? Where's your restaurant? Where's your payroll? Where's your people?
And not even that. I wouldn't even go as far as saying that. I would be where how much time have you
Where's your
spent?
pop up?
How much have you spent in a real? How much time have you spent in a real kitchen, and developed that skill you seem to be so proud of?
No, where's the people? I mean, where's the people?
Because standing in an empty kitchen, and cooking dishes and then calling yourself a chef, and you've never not once experienced the hardship or the demand in doing a catering for 150 people, or being in a kitchen, a professional kitchen, and cooking, and actually cooking every single plate. You've never done it, but you pride yourself so much in saying, I'm a chef, I'm a chef, I'm a chef. And superstardom on TikTok and Instagram become what defines you. I don't think I don't think that's I'm a little disappointed in the way our industry is shifted a little bit.
Chef Todd Richards, of course, the great Chef Stephan, Roots Art Soul Podcast, Heritage Radio Network. It's mid-May. Mid-May. Where did
Yes,
the time go?
and I'm going to tell you, May is an interesting month for me.
Wow.
When I say month for me, month for my heritage, for
Oh, dude.
my culture.
Yes.
As a
And
proud.
your culture is Chicago culture too. I just want to make sure we say that, you know.
Oh yeah, oh
All
yeah.
right. All right.
And as a proud Haitian American, um, we celebrate the month of May as Haitian Heritage Month.
Mm.
Um, and I'm very proud to say that the month of May has become something of quite a busy month for me, because
Mm.
I'm involved in multiple different activities. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be in Atlanta this weekend to close out Haitian Heritage with two events in Marietta. We're going to be doing a Haitian Mother's Day brunch because, see, Haitian Mother's Day is celebrated the last Sunday of the month of May. And we're going to be doing an amazing brunch at this beautiful restaurant called I Lounge in Marietta. And then we also have this Friday coming, a very culturally significant event where we're going to have, street food, dominoes, uh, music, you name it. We're going to be hanging out in Marietta, Georgia, this Sunday. But also, we did a Haitian food crawl in New Orleans this year.
Oh, dude.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
I'm very proud of
Right.
that.
Right.
So
Okay.
we did a Haitian food crawl in New Orleans this year, where we had restaurants, non-Haitian restaurants, except for one, non-Haitian restaurant, create a dish that celebrated Haiti. And one of the reasons why we wanted to do it in New Orleans is the connection, the very deep connection that Haiti has with New Orleans, from you know from so far back since Haiti's independence. Because after Haiti's independence, the two things that happened. So two important piece of story that happened because of Haiti's independence. Because of Haiti's independence to France, um, France ran out of money, and they needed to sell a piece of land called the Louisiana Purchase. That and if you know anything about the Louisiana Purchase, it goes from Louisiana all the way up to Texas. So France ended up selling back this whole piece of land back to the U.S. because they ran out of money fighting Negroes in Haiti.
Oh, good. Charles A. Peace.
So after
Shut.
so so
Right, right,
after the revolution,
right.
a lot of Haitians, um, uh, um, there was a fluke of Haitians who came up to and to Georgia, to Louisiana,
Shout out to
uh,
Pumpkin Soup. I can go on and
New
on.
Orleans, New Orleans, New Orleans, Savannah, Georgia.
Right.
Um, you know that those areas.
Shout
So
out to Pickles. I can go
shout
on
out
and
to
on.
shout out to Pickley's, man.
All right.
So we did this. We did this Haitian food crawl. And one of the restaurants that participated is Nina Compton's restaurant.
Dude. So. I mean, okay. Go finish your story because I got to talk about that. Go ahead.
So
Yeah.
Nina, who's got
Right.
this new beautiful book that just came out, by the way,
Right.
we need to get her on the show.
I'm gonna call Zella. We gotta make that happen. Right.
We need to get Nina on the podcast
All right.
to talk about her book, but to talk about her Caribbean heritage. Um, and she did lambi. She did Creole conch as the Haitian dish.
Oh, wait. Who's gonna get mad at this? Or who's gonna get mad at this conch though? Who's gonna get mad at this conch?
Listen,
We already
she did it right too.
okay, but who is going to get mad at this conch? Who did
I
we
have
have on? Who the Bohemian that we had on?
oh Mr. Simeon Hall,
Right?
Mr.
Who?
Simi,
Right?
Mr. Simi. So Nina did a Creole stewed conch as her Haitian dish. Just amazing, man. Nina is such an amazing chef. Uh, not only super talented, but just an amazing human being. Um, and I really hope that we can get her on the podcast.
You know, Stephan, what you just did brilliantly. And I don't use that word lightly. You know, and you, my brother, and even to my family, I don't use that word often unless it's really recognized. Is that you just tied an entire corridor of people. You put this whole conference, you know, the conference whole podcast about chefs in a blender and emulsified it, you know, so well. I mean, because like when I think about New Orleans, and I don't, and, you know, and gumbo is so, and po' boys is so. I mean, it's so easy to talk about that. You know, it's so
Correct.
easy. You know,
Correct.
to you know, and Creole, and then even controversy. Is it Creole? Is it this? Is it? That's so easy to talk about, right? But when we talk about ingredients, the ingredients, the terroir, the culture, you know, I mean, it's just it's almost baffling to me how people don't know this. They have
Yeah.
they eat it. They sit there and eat it. I mean,
But I'm gonna give a big shout out real quick to my friend
uh,
and partner Regine LaBruce, who led this whole project in New Orleans. You know, she has an organization called Revive Haiti, and
I
is
remember
basically
us talking about that. Yeah,
you know, really creating the connection between Haiti and New Orleans, and really promoting everything that Haiti has, specifically in NOLA. So big shout out to her. She's amazing. Such an amazing lady. Um, um, I'm very proud to be partners with her, not only in this project but in the Revive Haiti project as well. I'm a member of her crew. So I'm bro. This was such an amazing event this weekend just passed. it was something to remember. So
Well,
uh,
it's something to remember. However, me being up here in middle America, I didn't have it, so we got to recreate it. Especially we got to go to Chef Nina Compton's restaurant
absolutely,
and eat
absolutely.
there.
But but the story that
Yeah.
you have to sort of parallel is that um, you were talking about gumbo and so forth. Um, a lot of people still don't know that red beans and rice, um, the dish itself came from Haiti, and it traveled, you know, to New Orleans, and then New Orleans put their own Creole spin into that dish, and the person who traveled with that dish is Louis Armstrong, because Louis Armstrong spent a lot of time in Haiti.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk about this, right? And we're talking about travel. We're talking about a family. We're talking about dishes. We're talking about us being chefs. And let's talk about red beans and rice. And and, and, and the reason why I want to talk about this, there's and I have held grief in for a little bit, and Pablo Johnson, who is a great ambassador of New Orleans, who passed away suddenly a couple of months ago, who took red beans. He had a red beans and rice roadshow across the southeast and the Mason, New York, Chicago, and everything like that.
Wow.
And his cornbread, right? And us as chefs with our humongous egos don't necessarily say somebody's something might be better or is equally
We
as
do
great,
we do have big egos, don't we?
right? But that damn cornbread would stand up in the pan. His the edges, like it would pull away from the cast iron, like a souffle almost.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah.
and so red beans and rice. My dad and my mom, tying it back to family, would argue about rice. I mean, rice was a fight in our household. My mom put butter in her water for rice, like she was cooking pasta.
Yeah,
And some people,
yeah.
and some people from pasta say you never put oil in, olive oil in the water when you do it. And and then my dad, we always had two pots of rice on the stove. You know, always. Long grain versus short grain, butter water versus salt water. That was the central argument at home. I like my mouth was salivating as a just remembering this as a kid. But red beans and rice and okra and
Oh,
gumbo,
oh yeah.
right? And I want to step aside a little bit from Haiti. I want to talk about that Mesopotamia right there, right?
Hmm.
And Texas too, because black beans and rice, you know, and pinto beans and rice,
Correct.
right? And the protective mechanism we have about family in these recipes and cultures, like you talk about Haiti and the cultures and all that stuff. Why is delicious cultural food so important to our existence?
Because because I think for me, it it is the best way when you sit down at a table and you don't know each other, right? This is the food that's on that table, that culturally significant dish that's on that table, whether it be red beans and rice, whether it be smoked sausage, or brisket, or barbecue, or you name it. It actually defines who you are as a people. And if you have never sat down on a table with a group of Puerto Ricans or a group of Dominicans or a group of Haitians or a group of Americans from the deep South or from Texas,
Or
and
Irish community about with fighting about corned beef. You know.
and all you had on that table that created that conversation was food, you have so many stories to tell. You have so many. You can I can tell you about my mama. I can tell you about my grandpapa. I can tell you where I come from. So that's the definition of food. Okay, it helps to define who I am, not as an individual, but as a group of people. It gives me it makes me own up to a group or a community. That's what it means. It's called community. So
But hold on a second. Hold on a second. You said it makes you own up. Who are you owning up to?
no. It almost I'm using the wrong word, but
No,
it
no,
makes
no, no.
me
I think
it
what you
makes me
said
fit
is
in.
more.
It makes me
It,
fit in. So
but
I know that I own up to who I am because that food is forcing me to tell my story, and I'm telling somebody else across from me, hey, this is why I'm Haitian,
I,
or
I, I, I mean, I get it. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Keep going, keep going.
or this is why I'm from Chicago, or this is why I'm from Texas. That's what it means. That's what food does to you.
But and I'm not debating anything you just said. How do we commercialize it for ourselves in our communities, and in order to make it more profitable for our communities to exist? I
Well,
mean,
the
you think
first
about
thing is we need to
good,
celebrate it. The first thing is we need to
right,
celebrate it.
right,
And if we're not celebrating it, we're not creating value. Okay? Those two
okay,
things work together. So
right.
if I celebrate the food and the culture where I'm from, then I'm creating value for it. And if I'm creating value for it, that turns into that equates to something else. I'll give you a perfect example. In 2010, there was a huge earthquake that really rattled, uh, 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 uh,
Devastated,
devastated Haiti, right?
right?
And before 2010, the conversation about Haitian cuisine was minimal. It was practically non-existent, if you will. And when I say non-existent, it meant that it was non-existent to the rest of the world, if you will.
I just want to give it even more context. Haitian chefs were not saying they were from Haiti.
Even that,
Okay, I just want to make
even
sure that
that.
we said right.
And today in 2025, I can tell you that chefs are emerging everywhere. They are Haitian chef. They call themselves Haitian chef. They're cooking Haitian food. Even those who never grew up in Haiti or never developed their culinary skills and knowledge in Haiti, but they developed from their grandmother, from their aunties, from their mother. Now they're cooking. They're doing videos about Haitian food, dude. That didn't exist in 2010.
So it's about less than 15 years ago that people talking
So
about
now,
no one's talking about John John.
so now we're not only are we celebrating our food, but now our food is getting on the table of people who don't know anything about Haiti.
But no people know about black trumpet mushrooms either, right?
No, no, they don't.
Right, right.
So
Except for you when you're doing Hulk cuisine, you know,
even Haitians don't know that the John John that we use in Haiti is
right.
from the trumpet family.
Okay, but you think about it, what do you think about, the French side of it and, Escoffier's descendants? and black trumpet mushrooms were prevalent in French cuisine on the surface, that it was celebrated,
Yeah, that particular variety
right?
of black trumpet mushroom
Okay,
is only grown in Haiti. It's only
that
found in Haiti,
oh god.
and it has to be And by the way, it has to be foraged.
So I just want to make sure I'm going to say this and correct me that the black trumpet mushroom that makes John John
That
is
variety
that variety, right? And I've seen it in many different iterations, and
only grows on the island.
so it should have the same reverence as truffles, is what you're telling
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Amen to that.
me. Okay, all right, all
Amen
right,
to that.
okay, all right. So now, and we only got about 5 more minutes here. Like, we said we're going to do only
30
25 minutes
minutes.
today, 30 minutes today, and now we might have 2 more hours. Shout out to Armin, our producer, who's on the
Absolutely,
behind the
absolutely.
scenes.
And Heritage
Heritage
Radio
Radio
Network.
Network. I mean, who's like, he's produced every episode here. They said, Armin, we got a light night tonight, and now we're gone way beyond, the scope of what we are. And to our listeners, next week we are taking a Memorial Day break. I got to open some places. Stephan is healing and ready for his new wife that's coming on in 2025. I'm giving
Absolutely.
prayer. I'm giving that. But really, I just want to understand that you're saying today, we're decreeing today that black trumpet mushrooms from Haiti should have equal reverence as truffles. Yep.
Absolutely. It should be celebrated the same way.
Okay, got it. Done. We'll stick it. So damn.
It should be celebrated the same. It should be celebrated the same way.
Oh my goodness. I mean, like my mouth is like, okay, like I got like 25, black trumpet, John. Dude, man, that's gospel.
And I'm going to tell you, in Haiti, most of the time we use it. It's dried, right? And it has to be reconstituted in hot water, and then most of the time we only draw out the liquid from the trumpet mushroom, and we don't use the actual mushroom, which is an unbelievable abomination.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. I mean that to me, like you got all that reconstituted mushroom. There's so much. I mean, just simple. That's an omelet. I mean, just simple things.
And that's an omelet. That's an omelet. Absolutely.
Right. I mean, that's just simple.
I had a chef. A wonderful female chef.
That's conch salad. I mean, you chop it up a little conch. That's lamb.
Absolutely.
I mean, lamb. I mean, oh my goodness. Oh wow.
Listen, I had a wonderful
that's roti.
Female,
that's roti.
Absolutely.
That's oxtails.
Female chef who participated in the Haiti Food and Wine Festival a few years back, and we did an event, a brunch event, and she actually did that omelet, that John omelet.
Dude,
oh my god, I'm still remembering.
Man, oh man. So, Stephan, I would be remiss if I did not talk to you tonight about your New York background and your Knicks. I mean, if I don't say it, shout out to where New York. I mean, you're New York.
It's an unfortunate thing that I'm a New Yorker who doesn't love the Knicks.
What? What are you talking about?
The Knicks are my second team. Unfortunately, I've been in love with the LA Lakers since Magic Johnson was playing ball. But
Okay. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let
but
you
when
talk.
you're in New York, when you're
I
in
need
New
to
York,
wait.
you have
I need the waitress here. I need another drink for this blasphemy over here. But go ahead.
when
Go
you
ahead.
when you are in New York, you have to love the Knicks.
But think about it. Think about it. Like you all had a
It's
son.
been so long. It's been so long since
Uh,
we have celebrated anything in New York when it comes to the Knicks. It's been so long.
maybe from
It
Chicago, being having two, the White Sox and the Cubs. I get it. The Cubs, finally won and whatever. I still like the White Sox better, but 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 you all are, you all had a parade around the stadium.
Oh, absolutely, we did. But listen, a well-deserving parade. A
A parade of
well-deserving
what? You
parade.
haven't won anything.
Listen, we have not celebrated basketball greatness
Okay,
in New
okay. Well,
York.
so let me say, you all didn't win a championship. Okay, that's one. You haven't won the conference. That's two. So you're not in the conference final. So you all are like third place winner right now. I like, when did New York start celebrating third place? I just want to
The
know.
the
I just
moment
want
the moment we hit the moment we knew we were getting there.
to.
The moment we knew we were getting there.
Wait. So are the restaurants closing? Are you all shutting down? Doing?
No, no,
What's happening? Because I need to know.
no. Nobody's closing nothing. But
Okay.
but listen, but listen, but listen. It is purposeful and needed. It is purposeful and needed that
For what?
we celebrate where we are right now.
Oh, okay, thank you. So you all celebrating third place. I just want to confirm that
No,
now
no, 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 no.
New York is
We're
celebrating
celebrating.
third place.
We are
Yeah.
celebrating. We're celebrating the arrival,
Oh, rival.
the
Right.
arrival of greatness
Right.
of. Listen, we took out Boston, man,
Okay. So that's what it is. Okay,
the
that's what it
defending
was.
champions.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Me being a Chicagoan, right, and understanding that Michael Jordan, where I come from, where everyone talks about a Philly cheesesteak, and everyone talks about, this, where the hot dog, and that subservient, thin, minuscule, thin
Hey,
pizza that you guys serve over there.
that's a New
I,
York thing, baby.
we serve it deep. We serve the pizza deep in
Yes,
a
we do
dish,
deep.
right,
We
right,
do
right.
deep.
Where so you have the Magic and Barrett era, right, and everything like that, and these youngins have the LeBron and Steph era, you know, and not to dismiss the Kobe era, but he had Kobe and Duncan era. When you talk about Jordan, you don't say another name, and that's what Chicago
But
brings
there's
to
a
this
but there, but,
whole
there, but,
thing.
there, but there's a reason why you don't say another name when you talk about Jordan.
Because he's the greatest. He's the greatest.
No, and I'm gonna tell you why. And
Okay, please.
I'm gonna tell you even why. It's not even a question of
Okay,
being. It's
okay.
not even the conversation of being the
We
greatest.
we only have 30 seconds left here,
No,
so
I
please make this
understand.
simple. Go ahead.
It's not
Make
even the
this simple.
conversation of being the
At
greatest.
least make this.
I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
and I'm gonna say this
I mean, I hope you're rolling the credits on top of this because we don't need to hear this just
there
gibberish
is
over here. Okay.
Michael Jordan
Yeah.
walked around with an aura
Right.
around him
Right.
and an energy,
Mm-hmm.
even though there have been players before him that have
Absolutely.
done
Yeah.
greatness beyond greatness.
Correct.
But what he has been able to do within his 15-year career, but what he's been able to do when he gets on the floor, lose, win or draw, you cannot deny his greatness.
Lose,
He
win, or
walked
draw. That
he
sounds like
walked
a. That sounds like
around
a. That sounds like a New Yorker
he
who like a
walked around
Ewing.
with an aura. He walked around with an aura that was untouchable.
It sound like a person who lives in New York in the '90s, where he dunked on Ewing and every place else. And
Oh,
not
he
only
did
him,
that.
Scottie
He did
Pippen,
that.
but yes, but all right, Stephan, go ahead and wrap us up, brother. Let's get us on out of here.
He did
Before
that.
Memorial
He
Day,
did that.
close us out, man. So shout out to the greatest of all, Michael Jordan, and congratulations to the New York Knicks for being third place champions right now. Please, thank you. Oh, that's perfect. Bob Marley, take us on out of here. Get Stefan out of here,
Ladies and
so
gentlemen,
so
thank you. Thank you for
so
joining
he
us
can go
tonight.
celebrate his third place Knicks right
Thank
now.
you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for joining us, Roots, Heart, and Soul, tonight. It was just a hangout between two brothers, two buddies, talking about everything and everything in the middle. Um, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you for liking, share, and subscribing. Join us not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after next. And we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend coming up and a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And we wish you peace and be safe. We love you all. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, Stefan, it's been a great uh, year. Shout out to Heritage Radio Network for hosting this podcast, Roots Heart. So I want to give a shout out to a couple of people that made this possible for us. Armin, we don't speak about Armin enough, who's dedicated to making sure that we do this a lot. Heritage Radio Network, and shout out to all our fans. And writers and producers and everyone who comes back on this side and
And
support
every
us.
and everybody and every guest and every friend who has joined us in our 33 episodes for Roots, Heart, and Soul. We are just getting started.
And I want to give a particular shout out to all the family who made sacrifices for us to be great chefs here, and,
Absolutely.
and providing really delicious food to everyone. You're listening to Roots Heart Soul on Heritage
Radio
Radio
Network.
Network.